Hey, January 18th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass, and following along with our psychological warfare. And yesterday we did a video on combating psychological warfare, what you can do to strengthen your mind, your body, and your spirit. Because we like to see the problem as well as present the solution. And it's just reporting the truth because of what's going on in our country with the media, the government. Just we have a serious problem in our country. So you might have heard this name, Michael Aquino. He is the author of Mind Wars. He is the high satanic priest of the Temple of Set in San Francisco. He is a devout Satan worshiper, and he was a longtime colonel in the United States Army, head of psychological warfare, the psychological operations. So Michael Aquino, believe it or not, whose father was Michael Aquino Sr., his mom was Betty Ford. And we're gonna go into Betty Ford and touch on her and how Michael Aquino came into this world. And we'll get into that later. Right now I want to focus on Michael Aquino and the Temple of Set, which is a satanic organization. Actually, I think it's the world's largest satanic organization. And he founded it in 1975. And before that, he was a priest of the Egyptian god Set. And the Egyptian god Set worships an Egyptian god called Seth. The Seth, they interchange. And he is the god of chaos, storms, violence, and deserts. So if that tells you what these people are into, they love violence. They love chaos. They thrive on it. Hence the book Chaos by the CIA right here that details how the CIA uses chaos to change the landscape of the society of certain countries. So Michael Aquino, on top of being a U.S. Army colonel, on top of being the high priest of the satanic occult Temple of Set, which he founded in 1975, he was also a NATO liaison and visited Wurzburg Castle, which I wasn't familiar. I did research, and Wurzburg Castle was used by the SS of Adolf Hitler and Heinrich Himmler, who was one of Hitler's lynchmen, very famous Nazi Heinrich Himmler. And when Michael Aquino visited Wurzburg Castle, he performed a satanic ritual there. So that tells you where this guy's mind is. Remind you, this is a colonel in the United States Army over PSYOPs, performing a satanic ritual in Wurzburg Castle, which was used by Heinrich Himmler and the SS of Adolf Hitler. So he also worked at Merrill Lynch and was licensed to trade stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. So Michael Aquino, son of Betty Ford, and anyone who's familiar with Betty Ford, I'll get into her in just a minute. Gerald Ford's wife, First Lady of the United States of America, founder of the Betty Ford Clinic. We'll get into all that. Michael Aquino is a devout Satanist who founded a Church of Satan, Temple of Set, in 1975, U.S. Army colonel, went to Wurzburg Castle, performed a satanic ritual at the castle, and worked for Merrill Lynch and is licensed to trade stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. Does anyone see a problem with all of this pattern of behavior? Powerful people, Satanism, money. This is not good. So this is also related to Michael Aquino. In November of 1986, there was an investigation into the Army's Child Development Center. And it turns out that 58 out of 100 children showed physical and mental signs of sexual abuse. 58 out of 100, more than half of the Army's Child Development Center were sexually and physically abused. San Francisco police investigated, and wait for it, they found no evidence. So, and I was reading this story, doing my research, and I'm thinking, if 58 out of 100 children showed physical and mental signs of sexual abuse, How was there no evidence when the San Francisco police investigated? I have a feeling because the federal satanic government told them to stand down. Cover up. Here we go, cover ups. So now we're going to get into Betty Ford, and that's Michael Aquino's mom. And Michael Aquino is the author of Mind Wars, the Satanists that we're covering. And this is just a continuation. I've done 3 psychological warfare shows. This will be the 4th consecutive. And I've already got tomorrow's show written up. I did my research yesterday, and I actually wrote 2 shows in one day, which is unusual. But once you start digging on this stuff, it's just like pulling a thread. One string leads to another, to another, to another, and it never ends. Sometimes I got to cut off my research just to make it fit into these videos, because I could go on and on and on. So Betty Ford was married twice, once to William Warren, and that's from 1942 to 1947. And then she married Gerald Ford in 1948 and stayed married to him till 2006. So Michael Aquino Jr. was born in 1946, and his father is Michael Aquino Sr., but Betty Ford was married to William Warren at the time. So evidently, Michael Aquino is the son of an adulterous affair by the First Lady of the United States, Betty Ford, who was married to William Warren from 1942 to 1947, got pregnant with Michael Aquino Sr.'s son during her marriage to William Warren. And he was born in 1946, so there's no disputing that. She was married to William Warren while Michael Aquino was born to Michael Aquino Sr. being the father. So she is an adulterer. And we're going to get into more Betty Ford. If you've watched any Candace Owens, or you've seen these people like that just come out of nowhere, the Erica Kirks, the Oprah Winfreys, these people who are just picked out of nowhere and rise to fame and stardom and money, and you're kind of like, where did they come from? I never heard of them. Even Obama, Barack Obama, where did he come from? How did he go from a senator and 50-something days later he's running for president, he makes president of the United States? Unheard of. That Candace calls it the Midas touch. These people are picked, groomed, and prepared and rehearsed for these positions that's given to them by our intelligence agencies, because at the end of the day, the intelligence agencies are who's running the United States of America. These congressmen, senators, politicians, they're just puppets. They're just puppets. It's the intelligence agencies, and we all know it. And to be honest with you, the intelligence agencies aren't very intelligent, because we can see everything they're doing and we're all calling it out. Whether it be Candace Owens, Coach Colin, Ian Carroll, Baron Coleman, Mr. Let Go, so many other podcasters are just telling the truth. And at the end of the day, the intelligence agencies are weaving a giant web of lies, and that web is collapsing rapidly, and we all see it. So now back to the Midas touch and Betty Ford. Betty Ford was a child prodigy. After only 3 years of formal education, she was one of the youngest students ever admitted to Stanford University. So explain that to me. 3 years of formal education. So basically she went to school 3 years, kindergarten through 2nd grade. And she was picked to go to Stanford as one of the youngest students ever. If that's not grooming and handpicking, I don't know what is. And guess what Betty Ford advocated for while she was First Lady of the United States of America in the 70s? Abortion rights. That's right. Betty Ford encouraged women to murder their babies. She championed for abortion rights. She was an alcoholic as well as a pill addict. That's why she founded the Betty Ford Clinic. And Betty Ford Clinic was founded with Leonard Firestone and James West, and we're going to cover these two. So Leonard Firestone, his dad, and I believe it was his dad, Harry, who founded the Firestone Tire Company. So Leonard Firestone, a billionaire, with no need for money, an heir to a Firestone throne. I mean, Firestone tires are still around today, still thriving. Why would he found a drug and alcohol treatment center with the First Lady of the United States of America, who is an alcoholic and a pill addict? And I think we'll get into that with James West, who was the head physician over this clinic, the Betty Ford Clinic. And James West was actually a surgeon, and he was in the room and helped perform the first successful kidney transplant in 1950. Now you might be asking yourself, why would a successful surgeon who performed the first successful kidney transplant in 1950, why is a surgeon on staff at the Betty Ford Clinic for drug and alcohol addiction? Well, that's because he walked away from his surgical career to become a psychiatrist, which doesn't make sense to me. A surgeon makes way more than a psychiatrist. There's a lot of training and time and commitment that goes into being a surgeon. So why would you go through all the years of school and training, perform the first successful kidney transplant, and say, yeah, I don't want to do surgery anymore. I want to go work at a drug and alcohol treatment center? Psychological warfare. And this is with the First Lady of the United States, Betty Ford, who had an adulterous affair and had a child out of it. Now, you might ask yourself, if Betty Ford championed for abortion rights and wanted women to murder their babies, why didn't she murder her baby from an adulterous affair while she was married to William Warren and sleeping with Michael Aquino Sr. that spawned a child, Michael Aquino? Things that make you, what's good for the goose is not good for the gander when it comes to the United States government, evidently. So Leonard Firestone was the son of Harvey Firestone. I'm sorry, correction, I said Harry, it's Harvey. Leonard Firestone was the son of Harvey Firestone, and Leonard was the U.S. ambassador to Belgium under Nixon and Ford. Do you see how all these people keep tying together? We go to the First Lady of the United States founding the Betty Ford Clinic with Leonard Firestone, the son of Harvey Firestone, the founder of Firestone Tires, and he's the U.S. ambassador to Belgium under Nixon and Ford. Do you see this cult, this satanic occult? They're advocating for murdering babies, abortion. They're not murdering their babies. They're having babies out of adulterous affairs, and they're giving birth. Betty Ford gave birth to Michael Aquino while she was cheating on William Warren with Michael Aquino Sr. So do you see a pattern forming? And Leonard also went to Princeton and became a member of Bohemian Grove. Now, this is going to be tomorrow's episode, Bohemian Grove, because I did a lot of research on this, and it's almost unbelievable. But a few episodes back, I did a video about the satanic occult of the United States government. And anyone who's heard of Bohemian Grove, it might be because Alex Jones in 2000 did an undercover investigation on Bohemian Grove and the satanic rituals they performed there. Or you might have heard it from Jonathan Odie. Jonathan Odie was the sex slave of Cassie and P. Diddy, who during police interrogation, and this is on video, you can research this yourself, he said that P. Diddy was on the phone talking about once a year all these rich and elite and powerful people meet at Bohemian Grove. So this satanic occult is being exposed person by person, piece by piece. It's all coming together. And I will get more into Bohemian Grove tomorrow. So, but Leonard Firestone was a member of Bohemian Grove. And I just went over Bohemian Grove related to Diddy's sex slave. And in July of 1950, and I'm going to go ahead and go into a little bit of Bohemian Grove to give you a sample of it. Bohemian Grove was a meeting place for the Manhattan Project. If you're not familiar with the Manhattan Project, that was the development of the atomic bomb. And Bohemian Grove was the meeting place. Oppenheimer was there, Nixon, Eisenhower, President Hoover. All of these people, all of these presidents are members or have visited Bohemian Grove. And I have a list of people who are members of the Bohemian Grove. And you can Google Bohemian Grove. And it's quite interesting that it has year-round private security, year-round private security. What is going on in a facility, an outdoor venue that's, I believe it's 4,700 acres or 2,700 acres, that it needs year-round private security? What's going on there? So May 13th of 1971, Richard Nixon was on a recording saying, and this is a direct quote, "The Bohemian Grove, which I attended from time to time, is the most faggy GD thing you could ever imagine." The most faggy GD thing you could ever imagine. That was President Richard Nixon on his visits with Bohemian Grove. Now, the reason we're going into the Bohemian Grove and this is continuing with psychological warfare is because I'm going to connect all these dots for you. I said, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes ago that the United States government is basically a satanic sexual occult. The United States government advocates for women to murder children inside their body. That is they call it abortion. It's murder. Don't care what you say. Now, rape, incest, okay, I understand. There are extenuating circumstances to everything. There always is. So, and we're getting into this child sex trafficking. That's the whole purpose of this, is how they use psychological warfare to child sex traffic our children, using the media to lie to our face, and people like Michael Aquino and Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and the CIA and the FBI and all these intelligence agencies that we think are top-notch investigating teams, saving the United States from all these foreign threats. They are the threat to the United States. The CIA, the FBI, the government is the biggest threat we have to our country. They are murdering our children, they are selling our children, and they're using media and propaganda to conduct psychological warfare to convince you that they are just public servants working for we the people on our tax dollars. Now, I'm tired of having my intelligence insulted. I am really over it. That was the whole premise and purpose of making these videos. I was sick of the lies. I was sick of somebody beating me over my head with sheer nonsense. I was tired of the government pissing on my leg, telling me it's raining. And I think a lot of us out there are sick of it. That's why Candace Owens is doing what she's doing. Baron Coleman, Coach Colin, Mr. Leggo, Ian Carroll, on the Midas Touch News Network, Keith Edwards, on and on and on and on. We, the people, have had it with the lies, the deceit, the manipulation, the scams, the theft, and I personally have had it with what's going on to our children. I've had it with the child sex trafficking, the abuse, the rape, the murder, the sale of our children that has been going on for decades that I have thoroughly proven. My son is a victim of child sex trafficking. It is day 1,592 since he was kidnapped and violently sexually assaulted. And I'm not going to get into tomorrow's show now because I've already got it written up. It's 2 pages, page and 3/4. And I'll just speak from the heart and off the top of the head. I've done some research into why, these people are doing this stuff with the child sex trafficking, because I couldn't understand why would anyone look at a child and think that they would like to sell them or think that they would like to have sex with them. I thought, what kind of human being looks at a child and gets sexually aroused? And I always go back to the Bible. And I started looking into the Jewish religion because the Jews have a problem with sexual immorality in their religion, just like the Mormons have a problem with sexual immorality in their religion, just like the Catholics have a problem with sexual immorality in their religion. And this is documented. Jewish people molesting, abusing children, raping Palestinian children and being held hostage. The Catholic priest, we know for how many decades and decades and decades these Catholic priests have been molesting little boys. We know about the Church of Mormon, the polygamy, the 6 wives, the incest, and all of these things going on. And I went back to the Bible and I did some research, and I stumbled across this god called Molech. And I heard this, I believe, on the Ian Carroll show first. He had a guest on and he called them Molech worshippers. And I thought, Molech, that's interesting. So I did some research on Molech. And Molech is a Jewish deity. And what Molech translates to from the Greek into Hebrew, it translates to their king. And what Molech was, he was a god that basically you would sacrifice your children to this deity named Molech. And the Jewish people have a problem with these false deities and these elusive fake gods. I mean, let's be honest, the Jews are the ones who murdered Jesus Christ. They had the Romans do it for them. They used the Romans as their cat's paw to do their dirty work. Sound familiar? These Jewish people having other people do their dirty work, like Ben Shapiro having people go after Candace Owens and do his dirty work. Does it seem like a pattern of behavior for 2,000 years that the Jewish people use their money and they use manipulation to get other people to conduct their evil acts, and they think their hands are clean? So I'm going to close today. The reason I wanted to touch on Molech, I'll get more into it in the Bohemian Grove story tomorrow. And we'll get more into Judaism and the sacrifice that they do around Yom Kippur, which Yom Kippur usually falls around September. And they believe the Abraham, and you know, the Jews follow the pennant of the Bible. The first 5 books of the Bible basically is what the Jewish people claim is their foundation for their beliefs. The Abrahamic laws, as they call them, from Abraham. And Abraham sacrificing his son Isaac. If you don't remember that story from the Bible, Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son Isaac, and at the last minute, God said, don't do it. There's a ram over in the thicket. Use this ram as a sacrifice instead. Well, Yom Kippur is the holiest day in Judaism. And historically, this is a touch on the moral show, just to give you a heads up. Yom Kippur is the holiest day in Judaism. And historically, the high priest performs rituals to atone for sins. And the reason I wanted to look into this, I kept thinking, you know, September, there's a lot of really big traumatic events that happen in September. September 11th, 9/11. And I thought, you know, Charlie Kirk, September 10th. And I thought, what are the odds that these two literally society-changing events, these were world-changing events. The Twin Towers on 9/11 changed our country, changed our society, changed our views and perception, as well as Charlie Kirk's assassination changed our views and perception greatly. And I kept thinking, you know, what are the odds that these major events happen in the same month? And then I started thinking, well, maybe this is some type of ritual or sacrifice, because, you know, Candace Owens is covering how these are rituals they're performing, these rituals like Erica Kirk coming out on the TPUSA stage to the WWE pyrotechnic show with glitter and sparkles and smiles and, you know, the big fan. It's like a ritual. And then when I got into Bohemian Grove, they perform rituals out there. And it's tied to Molech, the god that you sacrifice your children to. And this goes back to child sex trafficking. And I started thinking, now I understand why they're selling our children and stealing our children and doing that. They are literally worshiping an evil deity named Molech. And this goes back to the beginning of Judaism. And this god is, you can research it yourself, Moloch, Moloch. Or Molech, however you said it's Molek. It depends on the translation and what you're reading. But I would highly recommend, if you're not you don't want to read the Bible, you have reservations about the Bible, whatever the case may be, just do some Google research on Molech. Do some research on the sacrifice on Yom Kippur. That's Yomkippur, the holiest day in Judaism, and how the high priest performs rituals to atone for sins. And everyone knows in the Bible, Jesus gave his blood to atone for our sins. That was the point of the cross and the suffering and the death and the resurrection was Jesus' blood, the blood of an innocent lamb atoning for our sins. Well, these Jewish people are using the blood of innocent children to atone for their sins. This has been going on for 2,000 years. This is nothing new. This is not crazy. This is not, some off the wall stuff. This is all written in the Bible. It's written in books. It's written in Greek mythology books. And I'll get more into this tomorrow on tomorrow's show. But being Sunday, we're going to end today. And James Tallarico, who is running for Congress in the state of Texas, running against Jasmine Crockett, said that there's nowhere in the Bible where it condemns homosexuality or same-sex marriage and anything. And I actually sent him an email yesterday, and I might have covered this on yesterday's show, but I'm going to read it again because I think it got cut off right at the end of the show. And I got a little extra time today. I got about 4 minutes till I hit the 30-minute mark, which I try to stay around 30 minutes. I've been going over just so much information. But we're going to read from Leviticus, and we're going to start at Leviticus 18:19. Also, you shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness during her menstrual impurity. You shall not have intercourse with your neighbor's wife to be defiled with her. You shall not give any of your offspring to offer them to Molech. This is in Leviticus. Do not offer your offspring to Molech. So pay attention. Nor shall you profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not lie with a male as one lies with a female. It is an abomination. You shall not have intercourse with any animal to be defiled with it. Nor shall any woman stand before an animal to mate with it. It is a perversion. And that is Leviticus 18:19 through 23. And like I said, I read my Bible every day. I did take today off the gym. You see, I'm not in my gym clothes. It was my rest day. Try to let my body heal and recover a little bit. And I want to take a minute to thank everybody for tuning into these videos, for giving me your time and attention. And I'm not doing this for fame. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for any other reason than to tell the truth, expose what's happened to my son and millions of other children, because without the children, we have no future. The children are the future. And if you do away with all the children, you have murdered the future. And I want to glorify the name of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who saved my life. Because had I not given my life to God, I would not be sober, I would not be healthy, I would not be in a spiritual place to where I can withstand the federal government terrorizing my family to defend child sex trafficking of my son. I would not be able to maintain my mental clarity, my peace, or my serenity. I wouldn't be sleeping at night. I would be on oxycodones or hydrocodones or Xanax. I'd be on some sort of pills, alcohol, and drugs. And it is only by the grace of God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that I have spent 8 years combating the abuse going on to my family by the United States government to defend child sex trafficking. This started in 2018 and it should have been resolved then. But with the human trafficking and the child sex trafficking, nobody's interested in law and order anymore in our country. All they're interested in is abusing human beings for their own personal gain or financial profit. And this has to stop. You see my flag is still flying upside down because our country is in a state of distress. So tomorrow we will be covering Bohemian Grove, and that's quite interesting. And I encourage anyone to do research on anything I'm talking about. Take this video, look these people up. Betty Ford, the adulterous affair with Michael Aquinos, married to Gerald Ford, First Lady, drug and alcohol abuser, and founded the Betty Ford Clinic. This is not normal behavior. These are psychopaths and occult members that are doing evil in plain sight, mocking us to our faces. They're opening these drug and alcohol treatment centers while they're drug and alcohol addicts themselves. That's like a sex addict opening up a strip club. That's not going to be healthy. An alcoholic opening a liquor store. That is not what you want to do. That's not ideal. And I just want to see people be better. In order for the world to get better, people have to get better, which means we got to humble ourselves, show a little grace to each other, show a little compassion and empathy to each other. And in order to get to that phase, we got to get past this pride and ego and greed. We got to get beyond everybody with the mind mentality. Everybody with these control issues, and these control issues come from these phones and these apps. This phone does anything you want right when you want it. Sure, this phone is with you 24 hours a day, and most people do everything through their phone. Well, guess what happens when you get away from your phone and you get out and you deal with people who you can't control like a phone, who have their own views and opinions and their own voice, and they want to speak for themselves. You can't handle it because your phone doesn't do that to you. Your phone doesn't talk back. Your phone doesn't rebut you. Your phone doesn't argue with you. But when you spend so much time with this phone and it gives you everything you want right when you want it, and then you go out in the real world and you deal with people who don't give you what you want when you want it, these people are having psychological breakdowns. That is why you keep hearing about this mental health crisis, which a lot of it is psychological warfare. But some people genuinely are having psychotic breakdowns. I've seen them in California. I've seen them in Oklahoma. These people just standing out in the middle of nowhere on a street corner, yelling at no one. I know we've all seen them. New York City, California, I've been all over this country. And you've seen these people that are literally in conversations with no one, yelling and screaming. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's the government, the psychological warfare, the lack of discipline, lack of intelligence. And now they're coming out with artificial intelligence. Do you know why they want artificial intelligence? Because they want to steal your intelligence by telling you that Grok or Gemini knows everything and you know nothing. So if they put it in Grok or Gemini or one of these AI apps and you dispute anything in that app and you say that's not true, they're going to say, well, of course it is. It's Grok. Grok knows more than you. What do you think? You're smarter than Grok? You think you're smarter than Gemini? And that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to diminish your personal intelligence by using artificial intelligence to bully you out of your intelligence. Wake up, people. Wake up. Take back your existence. Take back your mind. Take back your health. Take back your life from these demons who are devouring it. Thank you and have a good day. Bless me.